Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and participating today. We have Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer here on the line. Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer represents the 59th Assembly District down in South Central Los Angeles. He's also the chair of the Assembly Committee on Public Safety. And he is here today to speak to you all about his bill, AB 295, related to free college for California students. So with that, I'll hand it over to the Assembly member.
Hi, good evening. And I too want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule for just this discussion or just beginning of a town hall family meeting to talk about free college for everyone. This is particularly important to me, not only as a father of three, but for my nephews and ultimately my grandchild. I know for folk like us that come out of South Los Angeles, formerly the 59th Assembly District, it's now the 57th. We used to call ourselves the Fighting 59th. We got to come up with something for the 57th. I like to say all of heaven is in the 57th. So we'll figure it out. We may even have a contest on what we call our district. But one of the bills that I'm working on that I'm really proud of is this discussion about free college, especially for disadvantaged communities. And also, I believe with us having a better educated workforce, that companies will come not only to California to harvest this talent, but this will be the only place that they want to come. And not only will there be higher paying jobs by having better educated employees and staff, we will build an economy that will rival no others. So I really got involved in this because my uncle was one of the Little Rock Nine, when 9 kids integrated Central High School in 1957. And he was not admitted to the best high school in the state of Arkansas. It was racially divided in the 1950s. When Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne to escort these 9 brave kids, to school against these hundreds of mobs of Klansmen and segregationists who blocked their entrance, they needed the 101st Airborne to be able to come to class every day. So for me, education is really important. And as my grandmother once told me when we were sitting in her kitchen, she said one day she was sitting cooking and she got a call from the Ku Klux Klan. And they told her to get your son out of school or your grandson will never make it to school. That grandson was me. And that instilled in me that not only do I need to continue to fight for others, I need to make sure there's a pathway so that disadvantaged or people who've been prejudiced against are able to get the best education. And so that I'm steeped in that this is so important. And because of my family's experience and because of what they taught me and what they told me over and over again, I decided to bring forth this bill, AB 295, free college for California students. Like many Californians, I personally relied on financial assistance, really to earn my degree at USC and at Harvard University. By having the privilege to become better educated, I was able to not only increase my economic opportunities and provide for my family and 3 kids, but I had a better life than most of my peers. So this bill that I'm advocating for in Sacramento is I'm advocating for diplomatically, well, like ours in South Los Angeles to have the same, if not better, opportunity as me to attend college free of cost. AB 295, free college for California students, will really establish a working group of experts to create a program to provide free college to California residents. This group will seek to increase access opportunities and create a model to add as a tool for investing in our students' long-term success. But more important, about 45 years ago, Pat Brown, Jerry Brown's father, started the master plan for education, higher education, where he made tuition basically free for everyone. Within the next 3 decades, California became one of the I think we were like the 8th wealthiest economy, not only in the nation, but in the world. It's because people came to California because we had the best educated workforce. And companies thrived here for years and years. And then the tax base that was created, because you now have people who could pay property taxes, state sales taxes. They could put money back into the infrastructure of education so that it could support itself. This group will look at those economic models to see what works best. Because if we invest in people, the investment we'll get back, I believe, will be tenfold. And not only will it pay for itself, but it will pay in ways that we never could see before. The existing financial aid really doesn't cover all what the students need, none of their expenses. We have students now who are homeless now. They're trying to go to school and homeless at the same time. With students not only experience homelessness and not knowing where their next meal will be, just as they can afford to pay for college, we as a state must put our foot down and commit to providing a comprehensive support system. District-wide is my vision that my free college for California students will help us identify ways to evaluate communities like ours, such as by providing more doctors in our neighborhoods. Because what if we forgave their loans, or we gave them free college with the understanding they got to come back to South LA and provide doctors, social workers, psychiatrists, better teachers in our community so they can teach the next generation of folk? What if we say we will forgive the education financial burden that you had, but you got to come back to the poorest neighborhoods and provide assistance to people in South Los Angeles. This program will show that income is not a determinant in whether our students deserve access to higher education. And until we achieve a fully free college system, which much more is yet to be achieved in providing assistance to communities like ours. My bill, AB 295, is now awaiting a vote on the Assembly floor. By passing it on the Assembly floor and over to the Senate, we are one step closer to making college free. I don't know if you heard me, I had a call come in. Making one step closer to making college free in California, really a reality for every young person in California. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assembly Member, for that. I do see that we have a question in the chat. I will be, Destiny and myself will be answering any questions at the end of this presentation. Right now, I wanted to share my screen to show you all how to register your, and great question that just came up right now too, how can you help? That's just in time. So I'm going to be sharing my screen to show y'all how you can, get involved, not just with AB 295, the free college bill, but also any bills that come up here in Sacramento. And so that way you can show your support. So I'm going to be sharing my screen right now. So normally where you can go is, so for this one in particular, AB 295 is originated in the Assembly Higher Education Committee. So what you do is you can search up California State Assembly Committee on Higher Education. And over here on the right side, they have it where it shows submit position letter. So you can click on there and it'll take you to this screen. So for the purposes of this, you'll go down, if it's your first time ever, you'll go down to where it says registration right here. How do I get started? And you'll click on the one-time registration. And so once my Wi-Fi gets up and running, you'll go over and it'll have these preliminary questions. So in the case of me, let's say I'm just a constituent who just wants to really get involved and help support a bill. So I'll go over and say, no, I'm not a registered lobbyist. And then if I'm just on behalf of myself and not an organization, I'll click on no. If you are an organization, it'll take you down for some additional details. But for this example, you'll go down to no, and then you'll click on proceed. And then it'll take you to just some basic details that you can add in. So first name, let's just say my name right now, Natalia, last name, Garcia. It's not required that you put in your address, city, phone number. You can if you want. That's just so assembly members who represent you know that you're registering in on a specific bill. But for this sake, we won't have to do that. And then down here, you're going to put in your email address. Let's just say example@gmail. Confirm it again. You answer a security question. Once you do that, you'll click on register and it'll send you a link that says, okay, you're all registered and you're ready to go. So now that I'm registered in and we're all there, I'll click on this. I go back to the home page, click on this. I already have my account set up and I'll click sign in. So once you're all signed in, it shows you this portal right here. And it says where you can go to different types of bills that you support. So for this one, Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer's bill is going to be in the AB. Let's say Senator Cam Logger, who also represents the similar area, let's say she has a bill, you can go over to SB. But for this sake, we'll just do AB. And then you type in 295 and you search it. And then it'll show up Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer's. So what you can do is you can click on support, opposition. For the sake, we would prefer support, but as always, it's up to you to register your position on it. And so you can either type in a message saying I support and your longer message, or you can submit a letter as well. And it'll, ask you this question. If you're just on behalf of yourself, you'll click on no, and then you choose a file. And so that's kind of the gist of it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. But we do have a website that has this kind of how-to, because I know if anyone's like me, I'm more of a visual learner than an auditory one too. So I'm going to send the link over that shows the assembly members' total comprehensive one. It has and I'll share my screen just so it can pop up too now. So on the assembly member's website, if you go down to his normal website and you go to resources, under the resources tab, the first one that's there is AB 295 free college. You'll click on that. And so here's the original one. This one has the how-to step-by-step. And the link that you go to register your support. It also has example templates of letters of support that you can add into the portal, as well as a fact sheet that just lays out what exactly is in the bill, who are some other folks that have supported it. Also has a link that takes you to the bill text as well. So this one's a really comprehensive one. My email is also on this page. So if you have any questions in terms of that, feel free to reach out to me there. But that's kind of the overview there. And yeah, I think now's a perfect opportunity for me to kind of answer any questions. I do see that there were some questions already answered. So in terms of that, yes, it's does cover it's looking to see covering the total cost of attendance. And let's see what else. Would AB 295 also cover graduate school tuition? That's actually a great question that hasn't came up, but I think for this one, oh, sorry, I just got another question. For this one, we are deferring it to the work group to create the comprehensive free college plan. And so that's actually something we should definitely take into consideration kind of as this moves forward, because we do know that that graduate school is also another added cost to folks. Would AB 295 replace BOG? I don't know if I don't know if I know those acronyms. So if you're able to clarify.
Natalia, the BOG waiver is basically, it allows you to pay for the enrollment fees into community college.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we know that there's already existing financial assistance and investments here. So what we're hoping to do with AB 295 is really have this program work in tandem with existing programs. We know that we have this, we have the Cal grants that also cover folks cost of attending college as well. And so we don't want to take away from what folks are already receiving in terms of assistance. What we want to do is have this build off and really just, help us get to that, how do we make sure that all students receive that free college? And then also, will I email the link? Yes, definitely we'll email the link. Let me put my email in the chat as well. I don't believe I have access to anyone's email. So if you want to, message me separately, I will definitely email not just the link, but any additional documents that you guys will find to be super helpful. Also, I'm happy to have any follow-up conversations, whether it's email or on the phone, to walk through anything with this one as well. And then I don't know if I see any other questions right now. I'll leave some space for folks. Yeah, so that's a great question too. The primary funding mechanisms to support AB 295. Yeah, so with this one too, in the language, it says that this working group is also, in addition to creating this free college program, is going to make sure to identify a funding source to support this as well. We know that there's been increased investments in higher education, especially as the legislature is going through the budget cycle for the 2022-2023 year. But we want to keep pushing it and make sure that there is a funding source specifically for this free college program. And so that's something that also is going to be taken through with this bill as it comes to fruition. And then in terms of including anything to assist students who have already graduated, returning part-time. So as far as those who have graduated, I don't believe there's any specification for those who have already graduated. For those who are returning or part-time, in the language, it does say that it's just for California students. So there's no specification that it's for folks that are full-time. So it does provide that flexibility in terms of making sure we do provide the financial assistance for students. But in terms of those who are already graduated, I think that's also something that we should be considering as well, considering that students' loans are definitely another added burden to folks' cost of living. And then, will this bill assist community college students and continue as they transfer to 4 years? Yeah, definitely. So as part of the working group of experts, there are going to be representatives from the California community colleges, as well as the California State Universities and UCs. There's also student representatives, faculty representatives, and staff representatives who will be a part of this. So we really want to look at it from a comprehensive standpoint and make sure that folks not only are getting into higher education, but are also being retained within that and do receive a degree at the end of this, because the goal definitely is to make sure that we guarantee students long-term success. And then another question I received, will you host more virtual town halls so we can get the word out? Yeah, no, definitely. We want to make sure that we're continuing to keep y'all updated on where this bill's going. I think that's a great idea too. We want to make sure that, for maybe folks who weren't able to hop on the call tonight, that, we're still making sure that all folks are engaged. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. And we'll be sure to keep y'all updated on media platforms as well, and via email on where the bill's at too. Yeah, that's also another great question. If you'd like to submit ideas to help, yeah, I think we definitely would appreciate any assistance. Y'all have my email, and so feel free to reach out to me. I think when we have more community input on this, we can really make sure that that it's a really comprehensive, really fine-tuned proposal. And so, yeah, would appreciate it, not just on AB 295, the free college bill, but also any additional ideas that are super important to folks in South Central LA. And then what would be the greatest challenge or opposition to this bill? So far, there isn't any registered opposition for this bill in particular. However, there are some folks who can point to providing free college as being something that's very costly. And so some folks might have issue with a high price tag. However, what we say to that is we're not only investing in students and it's an investment that's worthwhile, but when we do elevate folks' educational status, it provides so many more opportunities. And there's also been studies that there's been statistics that show that when people have a college degree, it increases revenues coming into the state too. So in a way, we can look at this as a cost saving. Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate you all taking time out of your evening to. Oh, I see another question. Don't want to cut it off. Can you clarify in this that it would be for students born in California or other criteria for determining residency? Yeah, so no, it's great that you have so many questions. Really do appreciate it, because I think this is going to help as the bill moves along to make sure it is as comprehensive as possible. And so in terms of the bill, we're just making sure it's guaranteed for California students. I think in terms of residency, I think that's something that might have to, be clarified in terms of if there's criteria for determining residency, because I think right now where it's at is we're trying to keep it as broad as possible to make sure the experts can really create this comprehensive one. But I think, as we continue, if there's some implementation clarifications that we need to add, I think that's something that's really important. No, thank you all so much. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all asking these questions. And yeah, we would definitely love to still, keep the ball rolling on this one, keep the communication open, whether it's with AB 295 or any other proposals or ideas y'all have that would really help folks down in South Central LA. I think, that's something that's super important to us, and we want to make sure that y'all's voices are amplified up in Sacramento. And so we really do appreciate it. And then I see one question coming in. Will this support extend out of state colleges, universities? So what we're looking at right now is for this to just be in California. If other states do want to model this state legislature bill, and model it in their own other states, I think that would be amazing. As we kind of expand affordable college for students, not just in California, but across the nation. And, as we've seen with some other bills, California is the leader. And some folks say that what happens in California happens to the rest of the nation. And so if this is something that can really be used as a model to build out into other states, I think that, would just reach so many other students. And so as a very recent college graduate myself, something like this could have definitely helped me when I went through the process. And then you mentioned the funding source will need to be investigated during the scope of exercise. Could we, the public, be privy to that study? It would be a shame to identify property taxes instead of employer tax as a majority source when most homeowners do not have student loans as a primary concern, and vice versa. Yeah, so one thing that our Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer really hones in on is implementation. If we have a great bill idea, and it passes through, but the implementation isn't there, then we're losing half of what could be amazing on that front. And so I think in terms of making sure that folks have an open, transparent process as this goes, not just through the legislative process, but also when it does become implemented, that's something that is super important. And something that Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer definitely hones in on a transparent process. And so that's something that maybe, we do clarify moving forward, that, once this happens, that meetings do have to be open-ended. That's something we haven't looked at. So something that we will definitely be looking at when this continues. And then to clarify, if a California resident attends an out-of-state campus, will this bill cover their tuition? So right now, as how it's written, no, this would only apply to California campuses. And the reason for this is, we want to really invest in not just California students, but California students to stay in their communities and give back to the communities that, they grew up in, especially since we're looking to help folks of low-income backgrounds, folks of minority communities, folks especially in South Central LA. We want to make sure that, once we do invest in students, and they're able to go back and help, the next generation, and it kind of giving back to their family and neighbors that folks grew up with. And then, are there income thresholds for free college, or is it universal? I'd be concerned if low-income people were forced to fill out confusing forms and potentially not take advantage of this opportunity. Yeah, so right now there aren't any income thresholds in this. We really want to make sure that the experts kind of lay out the foundation for this. And so we definitely wanted to keep it broad to make sure that they're the ones who are identifying, which groups would especially benefit from free college. And so as of right now, there aren't any income thresholds for this program. And then also, aside from LACCD and UC system, will the bill also include support in state private schools? Yeah, great question too. So right now, the only folks who are participating on this are the public institutions. And so that's not something that, in terms of in-state private schools, that's not something that has been included in AB 295. Yeah, and so I do see, oh, there we go. Is there anything for students who might pursue a trade? That's also a great question. And so in terms of this, it's not specific to trades. I know that there are some community colleges that do offer some trade certifications. And so that's something, since they are a part of the development of this program, that is something that can be considered. And so I think for the sake, for the free college program, it isn't specific to trades, but also isn't something that is excluded as well. No, yeah, again, thank you so much for asking all these questions. I think this has been super productive. And also, I did notice there were some folks who joined in maybe after I had sent my email. So this is going to be my email address that you can contact me at. I will also resend the link to showing how to register your support for AB 295, as well as, how to register support for any other bills that might be of interest to you going through the process. That link has a how to register for the online portal, and also has sample support letters for AB 295, as well as a fact sheet and the bill text language as well. So I wanted to also just re-put that in the chat. And also we'll re-add the link for the portal as well. Let me add that right in real quick. And then if it's also helpful, I know the California State Legislature had their own how-to guide. I also included that in the chat, but it is a little bit more lengthier than the one we had on our Assembly members website. So also wanted to, offer I guess I call it the Spark Notes version of the legislature's how-to guide. Definitely, but yeah, and so like I said before, we will be keeping folks updated on where the bill's at going through the legislative process. Right now, the bill is currently awaiting a vote on the Assembly floor. Once it passes on the Assembly floor, it'll go over to the Senate for a vote, and we'll, keep on working on it. Once it goes to the Senate, if it had some edits to be made in the Senate, then it'll come back to the Assembly before going to the governor for his consideration for signature. And so it is a little bit in the beginning of the process, but we wanted to make sure we're being proactive and communicating with y'all and making sure that y'all have the chance to ask all these amazing questions, and also provide any feedback at this point in the process too, since we are so early, it's just going to help us kind of lay the groundwork for the rest of the year ahead of us. So we'll be sure to keep y'all folks updated through media sites, through more e-alerts, if that's also helpful. And now y'all also have my email account. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly there, and we can hop on a call if need be. We can have an email exchange, but really want to be super helpful, because this is something Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer really wants to push and help folks down in the district with. And so anything I could do as his staff to be helpful, I'm super happy to do so. Yeah. And so, if no one has any questions, don't want to take up too much of your evening as well. And so if folks want to go out to dinner, definitely have a great rest of your night. Y'all have my email address. My email address is also on the Assembly Members website for the free college link. And so, reach out to me at any time, not just for this bill, but for anything that I can be of resource to. But really, thank you so much. Really appreciate y'all taking the time, and have a great rest of your night too. And stay safe. Muchas gracias. Yeah, thank you.